If you're watching this video right now, it wasn't the algorithm that brought you here. It was something much bigger than that. There's a reason these words are reaching you at this exact moment. And by the time you finish listening to what I have to say, you'll understand why your entire life suddenly makes sense in a way it never did before. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to move through life effortlessly, while you feel every word, every look, every shift of energy around you like a wave crashing straight into your chest? Have you ever wondered why a casual conversation leaves others untouched, but completely drains you? Why you need days to recover from situations that other people forget in minutes? Why you cry at movies, music, stories, and then feel ashamed of it while others watch the same scene, without even blinking? And worst of all, why you've been told your whole life that you're too sensitive, that you need thicker skin, that you need to stop feeling so much, as if the intensity you carry were some kind of defect that needs to be fixed? Let me tell you something no one has ever said to you this clearly. You are not broken. You are not wrong. You are not weak. And everything you were made to believe about your sensitivity being a flaw is the biggest lie you were ever told. What you carry inside you is not a malfunction. It's a frequency. And today, you're going to understand why people like you were conditioned to believe that feeling deeply is a problem when in reality, it's exactly the opposite. It's a gift most people will never experience. And it's also the reason your path has always been, and will always be, different from everyone else's. Let's go back to the beginning, the first time you realized you were different. Maybe it was in childhood, when you cried over things other kids ignored. Maybe it was in your teenage years, when you felt other people's pain as if it were your own, when you picked up on tension in a room that no one else noticed, when you knew something was wrong before anyone said a word. Or maybe it was in adulthood, when you finally understood that no matter how hard you tried, you were never going to be like those people who just don't care, who move on without looking back, who build emotional walls as easily as breathing. You tried, didn't you? You tried to be colder, more distant, more rational. You try not to care so much, not to feel so much, not to be affected so deeply. But it didn't work. And do you know why? Because you were never meant to function that way. Hey, erase the truth no one told you. There are people in this world who are born with a different nervous system, with an emotional and energetic processing capacity that operates on a completely different level than the average. Science calls this high sensory sensitivity, but what it really means goes far beyond any technical label. It means you don't just feel things, you absorb them. You don't just observe the world, you experience it in high definition, while others are living in standard resolution. Colors are more vivid for you. Sounds have more layers. Emotions have more depth. And this isn't poetic, it's literal. Your brain processes information differently. Your cells pick up frequencies most people don't even know exist. You're like an antenna in a world full of signals. And while most people only tune into the main stations, you're tuned into all of them at the same time. But here's the problem. No one ever taught you how to handle this. No one told you that being this way was normal for you, even if it isn't common. No one gave you tools to manage this constant flood of information and emotion. Instead, they told you to just stop. Stop feeling. Stop caring. Stop being who you are. And every time you couldn't, every time a song made you cry, every time you had to leave a party because the noise and the energy were suffocating you, every time you end a relationship because you could feel the falseness before it ever showed up in words you were labeled, dramatic, complicated, too intense, hard to deal with, and eventually you started to believe it. So let me ask you something. Do you really think it's a coincidence that the most sensitive people are the ones who suffer the most in this world? Do you really think that's random? That there's no reason, no purpose, no larger logic behind it? Because I'm about to tell you something that will turn your perspective upside down. Sensitive people don't suffer despite their sensitivity. They suffer because of it, but not in the way you think. You don't suffer because you're too sensitive for this world. You suffer because this world was built to numb, desensitize, and disconnect people from everything that truly matters, and unlike most people, you can't disconnect. You can't pretend you don't see. You can't ignore what's wrong. You can't close your eyes to the pain, the injustice, the falseness, the superficiality that dominates modern human interaction. While others can watch the news and move on with their day, You feel the weight of every tragedy as if it were personal. While others can work in toxic environments and separate work from life, you absorb every conflict, every unspoken tension, every negative energy like a sponge. While others end relationships and move on in weeks, you spend months processing, understanding, trying to make sense of everything because you don't experience connections on the surface. For you, every connection is deep, even when it shouldn't be. And that exhausts you. It isolates you. It makes you wonder if there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But what if there isn't? What if what you're feeling is exactly what you should be feeling in a world that has completely lost the ability to feel? Think about it for a moment. We live in an era where people spend hours scrolling through endless feeds of empty content, where relationships are disposable, where emotions are seen as inconveniences, where vulnerability is weakness, where everyone is constantly busy, but no one is truly present. We live in a world that celebrates productivity over humanity, appearance over essence, and rewards those who can emotionally disconnect while punishing those who dare to feel deeply. And in that upside-down reality, you, the sensitive one, are labeled a problem. You're the one who needs to change. You're the one who needs to adapt. You're the one who needs to toughen up, build layers, put up walls because clearly something must be wrong with you for not functioning in this sick system. But wait a second. If a fish can't breathe outside of water, is the problem the fish or the environment? If you put a shade-loving plant in direct sunlight and it withers, do you say the plant is weak or that it's in the wrong place? Sensitive people aren't weak. They're trying to survive in an environment that wasn't designed for them. They're trying to bloom in toxic soil. They're trying to breathe air poisoned by disconnection, superficiality, and constant urgency. And instead of questioning the environment, everyone questions the person. Instead of asking why this world has become so inhuman, that people who can still feel are suffering so much, they ask what's wrong with those who still feel. And here is the part that gives you chills. You don't suffer more because you're weaker. You suffer more because you're more alive. You suffer more because your system hasn't been completely numbed yet. You suffer more because while most people build defenses so strong they can barely feel anything real, you're still open, exposed, present. Yes, that hurts. It hurts a lot. But do you know what else it means? It means you still have access to something most people have lost. You can still feel real beauty. You can still connect for real. You can still love for real. While others are living filtered, edited, shallow versions of life, you're living the real thing raw, intense, unedited. And there's more. Sensitive people don't just feel more. They see more. They notice patterns others miss. They sense lies before there's any concrete evidence. They feel when something is wrong, even when everything looks perfectly fine on the surface. How many times have you felt that something was off in a situation or relationship, but couldn't prove it and everyone told you that you were imagining things, creating problems that didn't exist, being paranoid? And how many times did the truth come out weeks or months later, exactly the way you felt it would? That's not intuition. That's not luck. That's perception operating at a level most people don't have access to. You're reading information others don't even know is being transmitted. You're processing emotional and energetic data that's completely invisible to those who live only on the rational, surface level. And do you know what happens to people who see too much, feel too much, perceive too much? They become inconvenient. They become complicated. Because you can't lie to someone who feels the truth. You can't manipulate someone who senses intentions behind words. You can't maintain masks around someone who sees through them. That's why sensitive people are so often isolated, rejected, misunderstood, not because there's something wrong with them, but because their presence forces truth into environments built on illusion. Your sensitivity is a mirror, and most people don't want to see what that mirror reflects. So what happens? You start to close yourself off. You start to doubt what you feel. You start to believe that maybe the problem really is you. You stop trusting your perception because every time you express what you felt, you were told you were wrong. You stop talking about what you notice because you've been called too much so many times you got tired of defending yourself. Slowly, painfully, you disconnect from your own essence just to fit into a world that was never meant for you. You build walls. You create distance. You develop protection mechanisms so strong that eventually, even you can't feel properly anymore. And when that happens, when you finally numb yourself enough to function in this world without falling apart every day, though, you know what you lose. You lose yourself. But there is another possibility. And that possibility is exactly why you're here right now. There's a different path. A path where you don't have to mutilate yourself to survive. A path where your sensitivity isn't a burden you carry, but a compass you use. Because, hey, erase what no one told you. Your sensitivity isn't here to destroy you. It's here to guide you. It's your navigation system in a world that has completely lost its direction, while others are following maps that lead nowhere, believing empty promises, investing in shallow relationships, chasing goals that mean nothing. You, with all your sensitivity, have the ability to feel what's real and what isn't. You know when you're on the right path because your body tells you. You know when something is misaligned because your energy collapses. You know when someone is genuine or fake because you feel the difference in their vibration. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's an internal guidance system most people don't have or shut down so long ago, they don't even remember what it feels like to access it. And yes, it means you'll make fewer mistakes, but it also means you'll feel more. It means you won't be able to ignore what needs to change in your life. It means you won't be able to stay in places, situations, and relationships that are destroying you just because they're comfortable or familiar. And this is where most sensitive people get stuck. Because using your sensitivity as guidance requires the courage to act on what you feel. It means leaving relationships when everyone tells you to give it one more chance. It means quitting jobs that pay well but drain your soul. It means distancing yourself from people you love but who are toxic for you. It means choosing temporary loneliness over false connection. It means disappointing people, breaking expectations, going against what's considered normal and safe. And that's terrifying, because you're not insensitive. You care deeply about others sometimes more than you care about yourself. So the idea of hurting someone, even to save yourself, feels impossible. But hey, erase the brutal truth you need to hear. As long as you keep putting everyone else before yourself, as long as you sacrifice yourself to keep the peace, as long as you ignore what your sensitivity is screaming at you just to accommodate others, you are betraying yourself. You're using your gift of perception to serve everyone except you. You're using your ability to feel deeply to validate everyone else's needs while suffocating your own. That's not noble. That's not love. That's self-destruction disguised as kindness. Sensitive people often confuse empathy with self-erasure. They confuse compassion with accepting the unacceptable. They confuse being kind with allowing others to hurt them over and over again. So what you need to understand right now, in this exact moment, is that your sensitivity needs to start working for you. It needs to protect you, not just expose you. It needs to guide you away from what harms you, not keep you trapped analyzing, understanding, justifying why things are the way they are. Because you can understand everything. You can have compassion for everyone. You can see every nuance, every reason, every context. But understanding doesn't mean accepting. Seeing doesn't mean staying. Feeling someone else's pain doesn't mean you have to carry it. And this is the great turning point in a sensitive person's life, the moment they realize they can feel everything and still choose themselves. The moment they understand that sensitivity is a superpower, but only when it's directed correctly. Because let me tell you something. The world desperately needs sensitive people. But it doesn't need broken, exhausted, self-erased sensitive people. It needs sensitive people who are strong, grounded, and aware of their own worth. People who feel deeply but also have clear boundaries. People who are empathetic but don't lose themselves in other people's pain. People who see the truth and have the courage to speak it, even when it's uncomfortable. People who use their ability to feel not to get lost, but to find the way. And that path begins when you stop seeing your sensitivity as a problem and start seeing it for what it really is, a tool, a blessing, a level of awareness you were given not to make you suffer but to wake you up. So hey, erase what I want you to do now. Stop apologizing for feeling. Stop trying to fit into a world that wasn't made for you. Stop believing you need to change who you are to be accepted. Because the truth is, you were never meant to be accepted by everyone. People who live on the surface will always think you're too intense. People who ran from themselves will always think you're too complicated. People who built empires of lies will always find you inconvenient. And that's okay. You're not here to be comfortable for them. You're here to be true to yourself. And when you finally embrace your sensitivity instead of fighting it, something incredible happens. You start attracting people who operate on the same frequency. You find spaces where being deep isn't a problem, it's a relief. You build a life that nourishes you instead of draining you. Yes, it might mean fewer people, fewer invitations, a life that looks quieter, lonelier at times. But it also means that every connection is real. Every conversation has substance. Every relationship has depth. And for the first time in your life, you understand that quality was always more important than quantity. So if you made it this far, if these words resonated with something inside you, I want to ask you for something. Leave a comment and tell me this: when was the moment you realized you were different? When did you first feel that your sensitivity set you apart from others? And how has that shaped who you are today? Because I want you to know you're not alone. Thousands of people watching this feel exactly like you do. And when you share your stories, when you speak your truth, you build bridges. You show each other that you're not crazy, not broken, not alone. So go ahead and share your story. Long or short, dramatic or simple, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's true. And if this video touched you in any way, if something I said made you feel seen, help you understand something about yourself you couldn't put into words, then hit that like button. Because that like isn't just a click. It's you saying yes to your own experience. It's you validating your own journey. It's you acknowledging that your sensitivity matters. And subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Because I'm going to keep bringing content like this. I'm going to keep talking about the things no one talks about: what's real, what hurts, what transforms. And you deserve a space where you can be fully yourself without apologizing. Because in the end, the answer to why sensitive people suffer more isn't that there's something wrong with them. It's that they're right in a world that's wrong. They feel truth in a world built on illusion. They refuse to disconnect in a world that turned disconnection into a virtue. And while that means more pain in the short term, it means something far greater in the long run. It means you have the capacity to live a truly authentic life. It means you can build real connections in a sea of superficiality. It means you have access to depths of the human experience most people will never know. Yes, great sensitivity comes with great suffering, but it also comes with great beauty, great love, great truth, and great purpose. So the question isn't how to stop being sensitive. The question is how to use your sensitivity to create a life worth feeling deeply. And that answer, my friend, has been inside you all along. You just needed permission to believe it. And that permission, I just gave it to you.